Hi, good morning, everyone. Come, let us prepare, make some good profits this week. I'll start with the prep for the week in first half of the video. The market left us very big clues. And in this video, I want to talk to you about how to be looking out for the bounce, because that's probably what most of you are looking at. But before that, before we get to that, it's very important you understand some very important key macro structure right there. And a big part of that is understanding first the intraday algorithms at play. So on Friday, this was quite important because there was some context on Friday. And if you need some refreshing, this was Friday. It was a large red candle. After the gap down, continued heading down, the bottom Bollinger right there. And I will make some explanations right there. So it's important you understand things like that first. But before that, we take a look at the Friday intraday analysis. Discord members, please remember, end of day summary right here. You just have to click into this and you have the intraday analysis. Throughout the entire day, I would provide the analysis like that. More information links in the description, so please check them out. I would suggest that you join the Patreon even as a free member, just in case I don't get a chance to be posting on YouTube. So you will not miss any analysis because I will keep you informed on Patreon if such. As there are free options, so please just join the free options if you can, so you don't miss anything. Now, firstly, very importantly, this one. Now, this was at Thursday at 1 p.m. You see this here, right? I want to show you where were we at on Thursday, 1 p.m. And if you watched my videos enough, you'll see watching my videos on a daily basis helps you to chain up the thought process. And so what you have picked up from a prior day can be applied if it comes into fruition, or there is a certain application I can use to teach you. So here on Thursday, this was important, right? And that's why you watch the videos daily. It wouldn't take up more of the time, 8 minutes, 10 minutes, probably a little longer on Sundays. But if you latch them together, you will certainly learn something, right? So this one, Thursday, take a look at the timestamp at 1 p.m. Now, Thursday at 1 p.m. was about here. This was Thursday at 1 p.m. right here. So this was Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, right? You understand this? I wrote 5-day continues trending down tomorrow, which was Friday, if we open below at 6:49. And you see how we started trending down. And this is a big clue of how the 5-day will start. And this is the 5-day. This yellow level here is 5-day. And a big clue how the 5-day will start trending down. Now, at that point in time, right, this is very important information, because at that point in time, when you take a look at a daily chart, a very big clue that I told you was when we are trending down in the bottom Bollinger. Now, this is after the trending down the bottom Bollinger happens after you see 5-day crossing below 20-day moving average here. So this red line is 20-day, this yellow line is 5-day, and this blue is your bottom Bollinger. All right. So I mentioned once we started trending down the bottom Bollinger, when the 5-day crosses below the 20-day, what you want to be worried about is if it continues to bounce down the 5-day moving average. So at this point in time, 5-day moving average becomes a very important indicator, because this is where the liquidity continues trending down together with your bottom Bollinger, and you see that happen, right? Now, there are obviously the 20 days is very beautiful resistance as well. You see that happening twice, as well as your 200-day. You see it happening twice as well. But generally, you see how 5-day continues trending down together with your bottom Bollinger. So understanding this is very crucial. And this is why, with that understanding, this becomes a very key indicator for you to understand together with my analysis. I talked about this as well in one of the videos. I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. I think it was Wednesday, where I talked about the possibilities of 5-day starting to trend up after plateauing. And you don't see it trending up at all, because you're able to calculate that it is still continually trending down. Now, I talked about this quite some time ago with another example. So if you've been watching my videos, thank you, because you have probably caught the Netflix trade here, isn't it? I talked about how, so this was a very classic example I talked about back then, probably a few months ago. I told you that beware of the falling knife, right? That's what they call it. Because once the 5-day starts to continue trending down, you see that the bottom Bollinger follows. Just take a look. It's absolutely beautiful. And Netflix, in this case, continues very firmly down the 20-day moving average. When did I mention that the bounce will be coming? When firstly you see that the bottom Bollinger is plateauing, right? Now, this is not a good enough indicator, right? Because you see bottom Bollinger is also rising here. More importantly, when you see 5-day crossing above 20-day, right? And you see how we retested upper Bollinger. And if you bought it here, right, because you were waiting out for that possible bounce, you would have caught that gap up because of some news catalyst right there, right, all the way to 100. Beautiful trade right there. So obviously, one way if you want to continually invest in the company you believe in, especially when it's down on the bottom Bollinger. Now, you understand this very simple logic here. If it's at the bottom Bollinger, you don't go all in. You never do. Right? When you invest into something, you always invest in tranches. You don't invest everything all at one go. You understand that logic? So if you were committed back then with Netflix, for example, it's not that wise to continue down because there were negative catalysts right there and you see it's falling knife. But every time where you see the possibilities of re-entering the trade, you certainly can, right? You put in 10% of your designated funds here, 10% here, 10% here, 10% here, 10% here. And once you see some more confirmation, this is when you put maybe 20, 30% of your designated funds into that particular stock. So you understand that logic here. Now, if you're trading options, obviously, there are more complex ways you can play with this, right? So you can open, for example, diagonal straddles, right? And thereafter rolling the losing leg while keeping the winning leg open and then using the winning leg to fund your calls thereafter. Now, I will teach all these in future. But the point is, if you're trading options, for example, the complexity of options will allow you a lot of flexibility. But you have to know and learn how to calculate them, right? But anyway, understanding this, what I was trying to tell you is, you understand that this falling knife was something that I talked about, and now you see it happening on spot, right? So don't forget, what I'm going to talk about today is what are you supposed to look out for to anticipate a certain bounce, right? So now, at this point here, well, obviously, you do see bounces here and there, right? And you notice that the bounces always happen to the 5-day moving average. So yeah, there are certainly ways to bounce this, right? So you see there are small bounces here and there. Yeah, it happens because there are times where they have to, in this case, what we call covering shorts, right? Take profits. So there are sometimes bounces here and there. And you see that here, this is a 30-minute chart with the 5-day moving average here. You see the bounces are, yeah, it happens. So small bounces with 5-day moving average, that's not what you're trying to look out for, isn't it? Because there's a bigger indicator here I will talk about later in this video. But you have to understand the basics first. All right, on Friday, because of that context, right? So this context here, you understand that there is a possibility you may trend down. But there is a bigger clue on Friday I want to show you here, right? That is this beautiful magenta algorithm here. Now, these are algorithms that we identify on the day where you can see that these sellers are building liquidity for a bigger leg down. So this was Friday at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m., right? And 10 a.m. was right here, 10 a.m. on Friday. So on Friday, we already identified this magenta. Now, I will talk a little bit about this magenta in a bit because you see that, well, firstly, it's penny perfect. You see that, isn't it? Right? And thereafter as well, this orange that started rebuilding liquidity as well, forming that beautiful head and shoulder pattern on the way down. Understanding magenta is absolutely crucial, right? Because you notice that it spewed over a little bit from pink, but penny perfect magenta right there. Just take a look. Penny perfect. And this was identified at 10 a.m. right here. Absolutely beautiful. And let me not remind you how far down it went. Right, so if you're trading futures, this is absolutely beautiful for you, right? If you're trading the ES, if you're trading the minis, wow, this is absolutely beautiful for you, right? Because it started trending down, you don't get, maybe this one stop hunted you, maybe, right? But otherwise, if you're well protected, this went down in teal. If you are able to nurture your runners in teal, this is just a payday for you right there. Especially most of you who are trading prop firms, you're trading the futures, right? So you have to learn to take advantage of managing your runners like that, right? You understand that. So obviously I could open another class to talk about how you can maximize your prop firm earnings. Use what you can with what I'm teaching now, even though I'm teaching the SPY, it's the same thing as the ES. Even though I'm trading options, it's the same thing. In fact, it's even easier if you're trading futures with what you're learning here. So I'm trying to scale this up to the highest difficulty, and this is why you see I'm trading 0 day to expiry. I'm trading the SPX, right? I'm trading options. To me, I want to scale up to the highest difficulty so that when you learn what I'm teaching you, you're able to apply it to even simpler renditions of what I'm doing. So in this case, SPY, or you can trade the ES, the mini, the micros, whatever, or you're trading futures, or even you're trading stocks. You're just buying and selling without margin. These concepts become very easy for you. But thereafter, right, understanding the magenta, there were 2 more contexts you have to understand this, which I talked about on Friday. And this was live analysis. So please, members, please do review, right, the analysis on that day so you can chain up your thought process. You can think like I do on a live trading session, right? So it's important. You have to do that, right? So I talked about how, at 10:52, right? Talked about this. I told you at 10:52, right? So this was 10:52. I told you how until the cups is closed, magenta can still be in control. And exactly as you see it, magenta remained in control here. And this was crucial, because I talked about this again at 10:52. So 10:52, this one was 10:52, right here. So this one, 10:52, which was about, 10:52, right? I told you, look out for the nested structure. And you see how magenta, while still in control, if you see magenta in control this way, this is another way to say that this is a bear flag. Isn't it? Beautiful, right? So this is interesting. You see the magenta still in control, especially with all these large green candles. So now imagine without the algorithms here, right? Let's just take them away for once. See it for yourself. If you're a trader, right? Without the algorithms, before you even met me, you see the large red here, okay? You see a strong support. Strong support here. Double bottom. Large green candles because of a possible catalyst. What do you think most people are going to do here? What do you think? They are absolutely going long here. Let me tell you that. Absolutely, they are going to go long here because they don't understand technical analysis, right? Whatever you learn, you have to be very careful. If you don't understand what you're trying to do, you are going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. And this is why there was so much sufficient liquidity to head down. Right, this grind down, for example, this is a classic example of the people who went long here, right? And it's grinding you down, it's boiling you alive. And you don't even know it, right? And you're being boiled alive before they break the levels here, before it heads down. Do I make sense, right? Strong selling, short bounce, double bottom, green, large green candle, recovery, right? And people are going long here. Do you agree? Before you met me, but you and I, we are not the same. Well, we are the same now. So we and them, we are not the same as them because we have magenta. So understanding magenta was absolutely crucial. And understanding the context here, as I was telling you, how as long as we are not closing the cups, magenta can still be in control as the bear flag. Can you see that? So regardless, double bottom, whatever, you have to unlearn whatever you have prior learned because you have no understanding of what you've learned. Double bottom works, yes. There is a certain explanation to that, right? So I will teach you that next time, how to be interpreting it in better ways. But you have to understand whatever you're learning now, it may not be the right thing, and you see it for yourself now. However, if you had magenta, now this becomes a different ball game, isn't it? And you see it. Magenta breaking out of the structure here. And if you were actually diligent on that day, you would be able to chart this other algorithm here. And just a pop quiz, if you were charting, and I wasn't there in the afternoon, just a pop quiz here. Do you see this? If you're able to see this algorithm, you're doing well. You're doing well. You're trading with me daily, and you're just learning to train your eyes to see the algorithms. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. If you see this, you see the dual algorithm setup right here, isn't it? Wow! The market has given you a free gift here, right? Especially grabbing this liquidity here. So this becomes such a beautiful head and shoulder pattern with the dual algorithm setup here, giving you another beautiful leg down, right? Absolutely beautiful. Obviously, the other good trade here was you could always prepare for the next setup, even though you missed that, right? So even if you missed this, fine, prepare ahead, set alerts, right, and get ready for your next setup. And in this case, my next setup will be the break. Let's see, the break of the pink algorithm, and you have one more leg here when this pink, which was the dominant algorithm throughout the entire day, has turned into some resistance here for that beautiful trade all the way down, at least in the final 30 minutes there. If this was not on the Friday, I would have certainly found a way to make money with this, make more money with this, but I would be I'm very conservative on Friday, especially when I've made enough money for the week. And so must you, because remember, at the end of the day, your objective is to feed your family. So you have to remember the objective. You're not gambling. You're not trying to prove yourself wrong or prove another person wrong. It doesn't matter. If you have enough to feed your family, you take that money and you buy food for them, right? That's what you do. So there is no need sometimes to be taking unnecessary risks. So for most of you, once you've already made enough on Thursday, on Friday, what you do is you just take one trade just for the sake of it. You can leave a runner if you want to, and you leave it and you go enjoy your life. So on Friday, if you took a short, for example, you could leave one runner and you would come back pleasantly surprised, right? All because you have already done the hard work from Monday to Thursday. Absolutely beautiful, right? Now, where do we go from here? Now, this was Friday. You understand that. Now, let's talk about the bounce. Now, let's talk about what's going on let's see, Monday. Let's see what to prepare for in the 30-minute chart. I am a little concerned with this, right? Well, there's some liquidity here. I want you to see Magenta has been building a lot of liquidity, right? A little liquidity here, right? But otherwise, what do you notice? We have always still be in the selling continuation here, right? You still see we're still selling in a mixture of green and orange, right? There was a teal that I wanted to chart this, but it's a little confusing. I will do that when I find it that it's a little more relevant, right? I'm not convinced this was the dominant algorithm, but you can visualize it. Now, nothing's changed, right? You do see blue building liquidity all the way. I've talked about this many times. Blue here, right? And the blue started building liquidity. This was talked about a long time ago, right? And then we have the second blue here, and this is why you see that we had that microstructure here on Thursday. And thereafter, from the break, I told you just wait for selling continuation, and true enough, on the break of this major blue, you have selling continuation. So that's great, right? So no surprise there. This is absolutely no surprise. So from now, what you need to be worried about is looking out for the 5-day. You want 5-day to continue trending now, right? And thereafter, if the market's kind, may not be on Monday, right? I don't think we will start seeing the blue algorithm on Monday. I may be wrong, but I worry that we may continue selling, right? In that selling continuation. So the first thing you look out for is selling continuation, right? A very good array of orange and green. Okay, and sometimes magenta, because you notice it's magenta that's the dominant now, in a way, right? Because near the top, we were selling at magenta. Okay, so pay close attention for selling continuation first thing on Monday. If there is any bounce, right, you have to wait for at least a magenta here. Grabbing off that 640 level, which is at 639 yellow, minimally, right? And wait for cups to close at 5-day moving average, right, before the market builds more structure up. So that's the next thing you got to look out for. Otherwise, wait for retest of your 200-day moving average. It's never too late. By then, your upper Bollinger will trend down. Your 200-day will trend down closer. Your 5-day will already turn into some sort of support on the way up. So remember, I talked about that in the macro structure, the many confirmations you have to pay close attention to, right? List them out and watch them, study them, practice them, right? You're not going to miss out. If this continues to head down, right, if we do possibly see the blue algorithm building more liquidity again, it is only for a reason for the liquidity to start catching up. In this case, your 5-day and your 20-day moving average. So just be careful if there's any short bounces. Obviously, you look out for selling continuation, right? Because you see orange is still aggressively selling. You see magenta is still aggressively selling right here. Sorry about that. Here, right here. And within the orange and magenta, you see very strong intraday selling in that green. And this is where we make our money, isn't it? Right? So just trade at structured amounts. I think it's a short week, right? It's a short week this week, so don't be too aggressive, right? It's the start of the new quarter as well, so you have to remain defensive. There are some good trades, obviously, you can take, but take your chances and be very, very selective, because there are good moves. There are very good moves. You just have to be more selective. Discord members, please study the end of day summary. It gives you a simple understanding of how long and how frequent do you prepare your setups, right? Because as I always shown you, maybe 3-4 possible trades a day. So if you're trading 10 times a day, right, you're doing it wrong. Okay, you understand what I mean. 6.5 hours, you look out for 3 trades. And for some of you, 1 and done, you just have to take 1. That's all. Well, it's not that hard. So stay focused, right? We got this. I'll see you in the morning, Monday morning, right? Yeah, I'll keep you updated on my schedule for Easter Sunday. I'll let you know. I obviously want to be here, right? I want to be here every week. That's what I want to do, right? To show you that, well, there's no excuse. It's consistent. It's the same as waking up. Do you wake up every day? Oh, yes, you do, isn't it? Right? Do you make a choice? No, you wake up every day. So the same thing, study every day, even if it's just half an hour a day, right? 15 minutes a day, that's all you need. Do that, and you will realize that you're clocking up experience on a consistent basis. You're building good habits, right? And you are constantly refreshing your mind and keeping it sharp. So that's what you got to do. Right, so thank you very much